the Daily Arithmetic Challenge. Alright, so on your screen now are the first 6 questions for you to have a go at. Have a go, pause the screen. Once you've done that, there are a couple more on the next slide, and then press play and we'll go through the answers. Good luck! Okay everyone, time to go through the answers. Alright, so the first question, 20% of 1,200. So for this one, I actually broke it down into percentages that are quite easy to find. So first of all, 100% of 1,200 is 1,200. 100% just means the total, the whole amount of it. So to find 10%, as you can see, going from 100 to 10, I actually get 10 lots smaller. So I have to divide my answer by 10. So 1,200 divided by 10 gives me 120. So if I know that 10% is 120, to find 20%, I just need to find 2 lots of 10%, or double that answer, which would give me the answer 240. Number 22. 645 divided by 43. So for this one, straight away, write out your multiples of 43. We don't expect you to know them off the top of your head. You don't need to know your 43 times tables. Literally, you can add 43 on every single time. If you need to use a method to do that, do it. Don't run the risk of getting the answer wrong because you tried to do it in your head. Make sure that you write out the multiples every time. So as you can see, I then did how many lots of 43 can I get out of 6? I cannot do that. So I've then crossed the 6 out, put a 0 on top and carried the 6 across. So I now want to find out how many groups of 43 I can get out of 64. So I did that by doing 64 subtract 43, which is 1 lot. I can't do 2 lots because obviously 2 lots of 43 are 86 and my number is only 64. So once I had done 64 take away 43, I then had 21 left over, so I moved 21 across to the next column. So my new number that I'm finding 43 groups out of is 215, and as you can see with the multiples at the side, it goes in 5 times to 215, so my answer is 15. Number 23, 0.5 times 28. Now this one is exactly the same as finding a half of that number. The multiply sign basically means of. So you're trying to find half of 28. So by just dividing that number by 2, you'll find that your answer is 14. Number 24, I've got 1/2 add 1/5. Now for this question, we've got 2 different denominators. We have to find the common denominator, so I would always recommend timesing your 2 denominators together. 2 times 5 is 10, so I know both of those numbers can go over 10. I have times 2 by 5 to get to 10, so I times my numerator by 5, which gives me 5/10. If I then go to my next fraction, which was 1/5, I multiply 5 by 2 to get to 10. And I then therefore multiply the numerator by 2. My numerator is 1, so 1 times 2 is 2. So I've got 2/10, and then just add them together. So 5/10 add 2/10 is 7/10. Number 25, I've got 1 3/4 add 3/4. Now there are a couple of different ways you could do this. Some people might turn the 1 3/4 into an improper fraction, which would work. Or you could just remove the whole digit for a second, the 1, add 3/4 together, which is going to give you 1.5, and then bring back the 1 from earlier on that you've got rid of to give you 2.5, which you can see from the method at the side. Number 26, 6 take away 5.738. You would not believe how many children get this question wrong by putting the 6 underneath the 8. That's not how this works. You have to put the 5 underneath the 6, as you can see in my method, and I have put a decimal point and 3 placeholders there because I was going to do some exchanging across the place values. So your answer for that one is 0.262. Next question then, 3.9 multiplied by 30. So I did this by first multiplying my answer by 3. So 3.9 multiplied by 3, as you can see down below, is 11.7. And then I multiplied my answer by 10 to give me 117. Number 28, I've got 1 and 1/15, subtract 2/5. Turn them both into the same kind of fraction, so I actually turned it into an improper fraction as opposed to a mixed number. So I got one whole lot of 15 and one left over, which gives me 16 15ths. And then to turn 2/5 into over a 15, I know I multiply 5 by 3. I then have to do 2 times 3, which is 6, and then I do 16/5, take away 6/5, which gives me the answer of 10/5. Hope you're still bearing with me. Number 29, we've got 5,413 multiplied by 86. So for this one here, I circle my tens number because I'm going to come back and deal with that later. I then multiplied 3 by 6, 1 by 6, 4 by 6 and 5 by 6 to give me 32,478. And then I go back and deal with my 8, but remember it's not really 8, it's 80. That circle around the 8 reminds you that you have to put a 0 down first because you're dealing with a number that is 10 times greater. Then I multiply 3, 1, 4 and 5 by 8, which gives me 433,040. And then last but not least, I add the 2 together. So 8 and 0 is 8. 7 add 4 is 11. I've carried it across. We've then got 4 and 0 and the one that's been carried over, which is 5. 2 and 3 added together is 5. 3 and 3 added together is 6. And 4 add nothing is 4. And finally, number 30, 99% of 200. So for this one, you know 100% is 200, that's the total. I would then have found 1% and taken 1% away from 100 to get 99%. So if 100% of 200 is 200, 10% of 200 is 20, 1% of 200 is 2, and then you would do 200 subtract 2, which will give you the answer 198.